So in the Netherlands, they have theories about the importance of shrubby plants, very much due to Franz Vera. And I'm here with Leo Linnartz. So Leo, why have you brought me to see this?
Well, this is a typical example of a shrubbery in the openness, thorny shrubbery. You've got brambles here.
There's some bramble.
You've got hawthorn here, and they form a tight bush. The bramble grows inside the hawthorn.
And it's obviously got the thorn, so it climbs up, doesn't it?
So it can climb really, and you see that when it moves out, it has been nibbled on. So the grazing animals, the big herbivores, keep it compact. And if you go to the edge, you see all kinds of flowering plants, making use of the structure to be protected against whatever grazing occurs. So this is a very nice example. On here is another flowering plant which pops up, and it is helped by this bush to stay alive, and especially when they are young, they are much more tasty than when they're a bit older. And
there's also a tree hiding in here, isn't there?
Yes, there is in the background. Yeah. You see here there's a willow popping up inside this, and this willow will grow tall. You see here the stem is already here. So as the thorny bush grows, the willow can grow.
And you can see actually how this has been nibbled, hasn't it?
Yeah,
so
it has been nibbled.
Outside the protection, it's then grazed.
Yeah.
So there's an expression, I can't remember exactly, it's the thorn is the friend of the tree or something like that Franz Vera is very keen on. So that shows that it can occur on a small scale. Can it occur on a larger scale?
Yes, in the background we have a very nice example of sea buckthorn. You see this round shape. It grows to the outside ever more, but inside you have these trees being protected by the sea buckthorn. We see here several kinds of willow, the tall ones on top there. We see birches, and these are all very tasty plants, and they wouldn't be this tall if there wouldn't be any sea buckthorn.
Because the sea buckthorn, it looks kind of quite nice, but actually, it's quite painful, isn't it? It's quite spiny.
Yeah. If you try it out once, you probably don't go for a second attempt. It's so thorny, so awful.
But we have some that have grown outside the sea buckthorn.
Yeah, of course, plants and bushes do try to grow outside, and then you see that they're all nibbled down. You see all these humps of trees here. They've been nibbled and nibbled again and again, and sometimes you see also that they are broken. And so the grazing animals, the bison, do a great job here. The cattle and the horses, they all feed on these birches in this case, but it can be willows as well, or oaks or whatever. So inside the bush, trees grow tall. Outside, they stay very small.
And you're suggesting this could easily be the same age as those up there?
Oh yeah, very well.
It's quite dramatic. So then. Yeah. These trees are doing very well. So is this just going to be dense woodland that will then dominate everything?
Well, over time, and then we can go here. There's a good example of a bit of older bush. Once the trees grow tall, they outshade the thorny bushes, and the thorny bushes they need sunlight. So what happens is that these once inside the shade, they disintegrate. They become less vital. There's few leaves, many dead branches, and when the animals move in, they can easily access the trees. And there's one example over here.
So I can see, you can really see how this is sort of good lush.
This is
bushes.
lush.
You go in, it's a lot smaller. It's open. You can see how animals obviously moved in here. And what's happened to this birch here?
Yeah, this birch is a good example. The bison debarked it, and the juice which starts flowing here is really, really sweet. So they debark it and they lick the juice.
They bark, and then birch sap is famous for being. You can make birch wine out of it.
Of course.
But then this plant here, the sea buckthorn, is a sea species, as a coastal species. So this obviously isn't a widespread phenomena. So what happens elsewhere?
Yeah, well, elsewhere you have all kinds of other thorny bushes, but you also have poisonous species or species like bracken over there. And bracken is also, it's not very edible, so the animals eat it in very, small quantities. And once it grows tall, it's very difficult to move through. So if you are a tree and you happen to survive inside the bracken area and pop up, then the animals can't really reach you.
Okay.
The bison could do so and could break it open and start feeding on it. But there are so many birches here that they don't care for this single birch, and then you see they grow tall.
But for sort of cattle and other species, that
would be perfect,
okay.
as perfect as the sea buckthorn.
So I guess what we're saying is that this phenomena it seems to be quite widespread. There's a whole range of thorny species that provide protection, that enables trees to grow, but then it opens up and then become graze. So you have this sort of cyclical pattern, which is very much the idea that Franz Vera suggested, which you can really see here. So how important is this? Presumably, if we look over there at sort of the fertile, damp grasslands, heavily grazed, presumably that won't, there's just so much grazing there that this won't happen, those shrubs won't develop.
In the fertile low-lying parts, the animals love grazing so much over there that they keep it open, because the young thorny bushes aren't thorny yet. They have thorns, but they are flexible. So they can be eaten, and they are eaten up to the last bit on the ground. So in that way, the grazing animals, if in large number, keep the area open. On the other hand, if you have places where the food is not so good because the soil is sandy or very dry or steep hilly parts, the grazing animals are less, and the grazing pressure is less, so the vegetation shifts towards more woodland.
Okay.
It still can be half open or more open than the closed canopy woodland we know, but it's more closed than where we are now.
Really interesting. So damp, fertile areas will be open. In the middle, you'll have this cycle. It is, I'm pretending there are mountains over there, which there aren't. There's mountains or in fertile areas, then you'll have dense woodland. But this cyclical behavior.
And there is another example, because you see that island over there. The grazing animals can walk towards that island, and they do so, but they do that not as much as they graze here. So the island is undergrazed. There are few animals there, and you see it's more or less closed canopy woodland. Very tall woodland. Most of the trees are old, and just only at the edge there are some grazing parts and some bushes and stuff.
So this is, I guess, the great Vera insight that grazing animals have an enormous impact on the ecology that we see nowadays.
Yeah, it is.